want to take a moment and talk about what took place in Kansas City at the Chiefs Super Bowl parade yesterday regarding the shooting, because as soon as the chief of police and the mayor of Kansas City got on, the mayor immediately turned his attention towards gun restrictions and gun bans, and this is why we have a gun problem and that sort of thing. So I just want to speak to what really happened and what actually is the problem. Well, let's start by saying Kansas City is a very dangerous city. There was a record number of murders last year than ever before. The FBI has certain neighborhoods in Kansas City as the most dangerous neighborhoods in the world. So it's not men and women buying guns for self-defense that is the problem. And that's why this video is so important, because what took place was not a mass shooting. What took place was a disagreement between two men who are clearly barely hanging on psychologically by a thread, and it didn't take much for them to cross a line. And both these men were armed. Both these men were thugs. Both these men probably had guns illegally. They definitely weren't holstering them and being responsible concealed carriers. They probably had them stuffed in their underwear or in their pocket somewhere. This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with two thugs who had a disagreement and started blasting rounds at each other, injuring 18 people and killing one. Because they're in a crowd of hundreds of thousands of people. When you're surrounded by hundreds of thousands of people and you're just blasting off rounds, this is the result that you get. But the problem isn't legally owned guns. The problem is the psychological state of mankind in America. People are losing their minds at the drop of a hat. You cut somebody off in traffic, they want to kill you. They desire to run you and your family off the road and you die. You get their drink wrong at Starbucks and they just lose their mind and start tearing up the place. Americans are barely hanging on by a thread. Many Americans, not all of course, but many Americans are barely hanging on by a thread, and they just lose it at a drop of a hat for psychological reasons, despair, anguish, depression. So many things are entering the lives of Americans through satanic devices, and because of that, they have a psychological problem where it doesn't take much for them to lose their minds and them actually think, well, this would be a good idea for me to just start shooting this person in a crowd of 100,000 because they offended me, or maybe they pushed me, or they cut me off as I was walking, or maybe they said something I didn't like, or they were staring at me wrong, or whatever the case may be. That was the problem in Kansas City yesterday. Not people like me who go and buy guns responsibly and carry them responsibly and only use them in life-threatening self-defense situations. That clearly is not the problem. The problem is people who are losing their minds and they don't really even understand it or know why. They're just losing their minds and they happen to be armed. That's the problem. That has always been the problem with shootings in America, is it's somebody that has lost their mind, either through bullying or just in the moment they snap, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse in America. So this is the problem. If the mayor of Kansas City would have got on and said something to the effect of, clearly there is a mental health issue in Kansas City that we have to deal with, I would have been like, right on, brother. But instead, what he said was, there's a gun problem in Kansas City. There's not a gun problem. It's a mental health issue and always has. It's a lack of respect of human life. It's a lack of knowledge of the Word of God. It's a lack of relationship with God. All these things combined lead to crazy people, and many of them have guns. And that is the problem, not responsible gun owners like you and me. We are not the problem, and it needs to be addressed. And again, I know, I'm probably preaching the choir here, but this has to be said, because every time something like this happens, the first thing, guns are the problem, guns are the problem. Guns are not the problem. Mental health is the problem. Any thoughts or insight, definitely put that below. Would like to take a moment and say that most people watch this channel, they're not subscribers. Take a moment, hit that subscribe button. It greatly increases the algorithm and our ability to get these messages out. That link is below. But the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests. Never hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, love guns.